what you were thinking on your last combat mission over Japan, or anything else you want to tell us before that?
I can tell you what I thought on the first mission.
Okay, it's even better. Go ahead.
We had to focus our gun cameras on something, whether it was the tip of a cloud or the tip of a mountain. And I'm 21 years old, just turned 21 in February of 1945. And I look out and I see Mount Fuji in the distance, and I said, what's a guy from Hillside, New Jersey doing here? To myself. But we knew what we were doing, and I focused that gun camera on Mount Fuji so we could evaluate our gun film. On August 6th, I had been strafing airfields near Tokyo, and we came back and landed, and Phil Maher, one of my squadron mates, jumped on my wing. The prop of the 51 was still spinning. He said, we dropped one bomb, wiped out a city. I said, what are you drinking? I want some. And he said, it's true, we dropped a bomb. And we thought the war was over then. And then on the 9th of August at Nagasaki, the second bomb was dropped. And on the 13th, there was a bulletin posted on the bulletin board that there was going to be a briefing. And it listed the names of the people who were going to fly a mission on August 14th. We went into the briefing, and we asked Jim Tabb, who was the first ace over Japan. He shot down 4 Zeros on April 7th and the 5th on April 12th. He was now the CO, full colonel. Someone asked him, why are we going to Japan? He said, we have to keep them honest. They're negotiating, but we've got PBYs up near Iwo Jima. We've got B-17s up not far from Iwo Jima. We've got destroyers on the ocean, surface and submarines near Japan, and all tuned into our D channel. We had 5 radio channels, A, B, C, D, and E, all tuned into that channel. They're going to broadcast the code word Ohio. It will probably never reach Japan. And with that, my 19-year-old wingman, Phil Schlomberg, leaned over to me and said, Captain, if we go, I'm not coming back. I said, what are you talking about? He says, that's what I feel. So I went to Tabb and I told him what Schlomberg said, and he said, Jerry, if Schlomberg will ask Doc Lewis, the flight surgeon, and tell him what he told you, Doc Lewis might be able to get him off the mission. But you can't ask Doc Lewis for him. He has to go. And when I told Schlomberg that, he said, no way, I'll just go. On the morning of the 14th, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, I don't remember what time it was, I told him, stay on my wing, just stick close on my wing. We'll never make it to Japan. We reached a point where we had to drop our external wing tanks. B-29 navigated it to an island 30 or 40 miles off the coast of Japan, near Tokyo. And we dropped our wing tanks, we went in, we strafed airfields around Tokyo, and we could cut the fuel consumption back to 20 or 22 gallons an hour. We needed 90 gallons of fuel as a minimum to get back to Iwo Jima from Japan. And someone in the squadron called 90 gallons, and I looked over, and Phil Schlomberg was on my wing. I was leading a 4-ship formation of planes, and I gave him a thumbs up, he gave me a thumbs up. And I led my flight into some pretty heavy clouds. And when I came out, he was gone. There was no visible sighting of him leaving, there was no radio contact. And when we landed on Iwo Jima, we found out that while we were strafing, the war had been over for 3 hours, and we never heard about that. So he was the last man killed actively in combat. The historians say that the war ended on September 2nd, when the treaty was signed on the Missouri. But the combat missions ended on August 14th, and he was the last guy killed in combat. He had a younger brother, Michael, and Michael had a daughter named, Phil's name was Schlomberg, a Jewish guy, and his brother changed his name to Sloan. He had a brother, Michael Sloan, who had a daughter, Melanie Sloan, who had a daughter by the name of Scarlett. And Scarlett is Scarlett Johansson. She would have been the great niece of Phil Schlomberg, the last guy killed in World War II. I'm on a committee that's planning an annual international symposium of young people called the Philip Schlomberg Symposium of Peace and Understanding. That's going to take place the first time, hopefully on August 14, 2017. Another item that the World War II Museum might be interested in sponsoring an international symposium of young people. I'm a salesman. This is my job.
No kidding. That's good, Jerry. Keep it going.
So Phil was the last guy killed in the war. And I don't usually like to tell this story, but I will. I had his wings and his lieutenant bars. He was a second lieutenant. And I was discharged from Fort Monmouth in December of 1945 in New Jersey. And I went to Brooklyn to see his mother and his sisters. He was the youngest of 5 or 6 children. And his mother was reluctant to see me, really didn't want, but his sisters wanted to see me. And when I walked out of that door of their house, just before I left, she looked at me and said, "Captain, it should have been you who were killed, not my son Philip. I hope you never sleep a night in your life like I can't sleep." Something I never understood then, but I certainly understood it when I became a parent, because it's not in order, it's not the Seder when children precede adults, mothers and fathers, in death. And the pure purpose of war is to kill other people. I learned 2 things when I entered the service at 18 years old. The first thing I learned, that my buddies, the guys that I were with, were prepared to give their life to save me, to keep me alive. And I was prepared to give my life to keep them alive. And then we learned to use a weapon to kill our enemy. And the pure purpose of war is to kill other people. We all learned that. Once you've done that, you can't forget it. I came back, and for 30 years I wasn't a human being. I couldn't sleep, thought about suicide, couldn't work. I suffered from what is now known as post-traumatic stress disorder. Something, again, that the World War II Museum might get involved with, because we have 300 or 400 young veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan who the VA is paying $8 billion a month for antipsychotic and antidepressant drugs that cause more harm than do good. And that's going to go on for 600 or 700 months. And they can learn what I learned, transcendental meditation, for $1,000, a one-time fee for a lifetime of health. Something that I'd like, again, to get the World War II Museum involved today. So I'm here as a missionary for 16 million others. You might not like what I say, but I'm going to keep saying it as long as I draw my breath, because we must prevent the next war, which will destroy the ability of the earth to sustain life.
Thank you very much. Amazing story, and of course we're hooked up with you, so we're certainly very well aware and sensitive to the problems in contemporary armies and sailors and soldiers that suffer from PTSD. And